All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our second meeting of the month, and it's right at 6 o'clock p.m. So let's begin. We'll start with a prayer and pledge of allegiance. If you'll stand with us. Commissioner Fields.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and all your many blessings. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to be with this court. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray the decisions we make tonight will always be for the best interests of the people. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to be with the leaders of this state and our nation, that we might always be able to be free and always be free, dear Heavenly Father, and be able to have the freedom that we have. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to be with the men and women that are serving overseas, and we ask you to be with them and protect them, and if it be thy will, dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to bring them home safely. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to be with the people here tonight and be with them as they go to their home and their destination. Dear Heavenly Father, just always be with us, guide us, and protect us. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, tonight is the 27th of October, 2014, 6 p.m. This is our special meeting, our second meeting of the month, our evening meeting. We'll begin with item number 1, public comments or requests for information on non-agenda items in accordance with Section 551.042 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. I've got David Horton would like to speak. David, where are you? There you are. Come on up, please, sir. Is that mic on? Will you check? That's the one that gives us trouble, so. How about that one? Is that one working? Is that one working? Neither one? Mr. Horton, I don't think that one's working. No? They're just wireless. They're both wireless and they're both on? They're on. Can we share, how about this? Can we share this with you?
Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a while since I've had the privilege of appearing before you, but I'm concerned tonight, wanted to bring it to your attention. We've had a lot of complaints about the state of the cemeteries, the abandoned cemeteries in the county. I think all of you have abandoned cemeteries in your precinct. And I wanted to get your viewpoints on how we can maintain those things. I think you're mandated somehow by the state to do so, but it's not getting done. Monuments are getting broken by fallen limbs, rotted limbs off the trees in the cemeteries, vandalism, you name it. We need to check on them every once in a while just to see that things are in good shape. It hadn't been that long since we had a lot of vandalism in one of the cemeteries on the east side. And the sheriff's department had to go over there and repair broken monuments and set up monuments that were pushed down by a vehicle that had gotten into the cemetery. Well, don't want to encourage that sort of thing, and we can do it by lightening up the cemeteries a little bit, not having them look like a garbage dump like some of them do. Anyway, I would like to hear some kind of commitment, your ideas on the subject, what we can do about it, because I'm getting emails complaining about it. Anyone have any ideas?
Well, if they don't right now, it's worthy of discussion. Why don't I at least give them a chance tonight if you want to say anything? Otherwise, I'll put something to this effect on a future agenda, and we will address that.
I would appreciate it being on a future agenda item, and we can discuss it a little further. And I can prepare a list of the cemeteries in the precincts if you're so inclined to receive them. Okay. I'll try to get that for you. On the stipulation that something will be done about it.
It'd be something to look into. I'd look into. Like I said, we've got so much going on that we will.
I understand, but need it done, and out of respect for our people that have preceded us. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
We have a program just underway to approach community centers, such as market communities like football, Milk Monticello, Super Shack, and some of the market whose patriotism, the citizens in those areas and against those over.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else have anything to say at this time? Okay, and the second speaker, Diane Owens, you want to speak on number 8? Okay. Is there anyone else? All right, item number 2, consider and possibly approve minutes from our October 14, 2014 regular meeting of the court. Motion by Commissioner Hinton to approve those minutes.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 3, status report for the county pass-through projects. We received this today from PTP Transportation. First item is construction related on US 271, our big project with Williams Brothers, $73,097,000 paid to date. 663 days of original contract time, an additional 173 days of extended time, 836 days, including extensions with 826 days charged. There are 10 days remaining. They are working on a punch list, the final punch list provided by TxDOT. That work is expected to be complete at the end of this week. FM 4000, our James Construction Group project, $15,815,000 paid to date, including the materials on hand, 83.54%, 383 days of contract time, 6 days of extension, yielding a 389-day contract time with 0 days remaining. Here's what is going on. The dirt crew is placing flex base on the Union Pacific Railroad header banks. That's the new bridge that goes over the railroad there and lands in the Prefert complex. They continue to work on the FM 1735 and FM 2348 roads. This is where the new FM 4000 intersects with the Union Hill Road and with the Chapel Hill Road. On FM 1735, the Chapel Hill Road, the contractor's in the last phase on FM 1735. All traffic is currently on the new asphalt paving in phase 1 and 2. They're currently reclaiming the flex base from the detour and has begun to place the embankment for phase 3. 1735 should be completed within 3 weeks. On the Union Hill Road, they're also in the last phase. Traffic is driving currently on the seal coat section from phase 1 and 2. The contractor is scheduled to place asphalt on Phase 3 this Saturday. Once the asphalt's placed, traffic will be switched over to the asphalt, and a 2% cement mix will be added to the seal coat in Phase 1 and 2 as requested by TxDOT. Asphalt will then be final placed on Phase 1 and 2. So these two roads, or these intersections rather, that are a fairly lengthy segment there of those two roads, should be completed, he says, well before Thanksgiving holidays. Let's just say before Thanksgiving, which is what they originally committed to. The bridge crew has completed the traffic rail on Hart Creek. They have completed the traffic rail foundation on the UPRR on the railroad, and they're now tying steel for the single slope traffic rail. They are pouring the 5-inch concrete riprap between the retaining wall coping and the traffic rail foundation. The concrete paving crew is working there on South 271 out there by Walmart and just south of there. They should be complete by the end of November. A lot of concrete work at that point. The traffic signal crew has poured the signal foundations at US 271, and they continue to work on those signals. The seal coat crew, of course, is shut down until next May or June, other than the little bit to be placed at 1735 and 2348. So again, what they're doing right now is everything that they can do other than seal coat, which will complete the project sometime next May or June. The contractor has informed us they'll be working every Saturday until all work is complete, other than the seal coat and the striping. Anybody have anything to add from any meetings you've attended or any other information that I don't know about? All right, item number 4, consider and possibly approve change order number 7 on the FM 4000 segment of the loop in the amount of $2,297. This change order is to add a pay item that will allow the metal guardrail to be connected to the concrete bridge rail on the approaches of the bridge. There is not an existing pay item to pay for such material. So that will be a $2,297 change order number 7, and I need your approval on that one if you so choose.
Make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Fields, second by Commissioner Hockaday to approve change order number 7 there on FM 4000, $2,297. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I will sign this. Item number 5, consider and possibly approve a resolution to authorize the county to make a grant to NETO Meals on Wheels in the amount of $1,372.75 to be used between February 1 of 2015 and January 31 of 2016. And she's way ahead of me. Welcome, Beverly Logan. Thank you for coming and helping us make this decision. We tabled this at our last meeting because we honestly had a couple of questions we didn't know the answers to. And please tell us what you can about this program and why we should be a part of this.
This is something that the state has made available.
Can I get you to come up? Have we got a decent, neither one's going to work. Could I get you to borrow Commissioner Riddle's again? And again, we just do this mainly to get you on the recording. Yeah, just push that name. Yeah, that'll be okay.
Thank you so much. Okay. This is what we've been doing. The Department of Agriculture made this grant available to meal providers back in 2009, and we've been doing it in each one of our counties, including Titus County, since this began. I made you a copy. The first sheet that I made you is talking about what is required by the counties, and this is the Department of Agriculture. This is their website. And it says counties can bring TDA dollars to their communities by making qualifying grants to meal providers. And this monies that NETO asks that you do a resolution came from the state. It's based on 0.25, which is a quarter, for every senior citizen that lives in your county according to the 2010 census. That's where that figure comes from, not from any TO, but from the Department of Agriculture. If we do not get this resolution from the county, then there will be no TDA monies allocated to Titus County. Now, why that matters, one way or the other, will we continue to serve meals? Yes, we will continue to serve your meals. I made a copy of all of this stuff, and I'm going to go over it really fast, and then I'll answer your questions. On the very last page of this little packet I passed out, there's 21 serving days in August. I used August for an example. We have served 1,494 meals for the month of August in Titus County only. And at 21 days, serving days, we're serving 71 home-delivered meals a day in Titus County. Those meals are being prepared now since we no longer have the congregate, which was taken by the Council of Governments. We don't have the congregate meal program anymore, so we're not cooking in Mount Pleasant. We are cooking these meals in Mount Vernon because we don't have the meal center here anymore. So we're still bringing over 71 meals a day, and if we do 71 meals a day and we have 250 serving days, that's how many we're required, days that we're required to operate by the state of Texas, that's 17,750 meals that we'll serve in Titus County. Not all of our counties, this is just Titus County, okay? And I made you, I brought my Tribune because they were, I wanted to kind of correct some things. It doesn't make any difference what your total budget is. If any TO has a budget and it's $200,000 for Head Start, you cannot use 1/4, 1 50-cent piece, nor $1 from Head Start to help purchase one meal. It is allocated per program by the state. And these programs do not work interchangeably. It is separate programs. So if our grant is for $1 million and 800,000 of that is Head Start, we still wouldn't have much for meals because you cannot interchange the programs. That's a big no-no. You can't do that. So the total budget of what we have is not in relation to what is in the meals program. Page 2 of this is a copy of what we actually, this is our contract that we signed with the Department of Aging and Disabilities this year. This is our actual worksheet, budget sheet that we signed with the state. We serve 2 different types of meals now in Titus County. We no longer do the elderly, aging home-delivered meals. That is now done by Texarkana Senior Services out of Texarkana. But we do the community care.
Beverly, you just said they also are delivering some meals?
They are doing the aging.
Okay.
I think you'll have to get with them, but when we were doing aging, we were doing about 5 a day in Titus County.
So they're doing the meals at the meal center as well as a handful of home delivery?
Yes, they're doing about 5. Or that's what we were. It may be more, it may be less. I don't have any record of that. I don't have any knowledge of that. I'm only talking about what we're doing. But we do the CCAD meals, which is a community care to keep people in their homes, and we do a CBA, which is a community-based alternative. It's for the same reason. These are meals that we contract directly with the Texas Department of Aging and Disabilities Services program. These come straight from the state. They don't pass through the COG, they don't pass through anything else. We contract with these straight through the state. This year, they are saying, based on what we've done in the past, that we'll do 42,000. We've already signed this contract. This contract we just signed will run through September through August of next year. So this contract has been signed, negotiated, signed, and in place. And they're saying that we will do, based on last year's, 57,330 meals. So that is the total meals they're counting on any TO to serve for our 6-county area of 99,330 home delivery meals that we should be serving next year. No, not in Titus County. We will, as I said, we should be doing around 17,000 of those meals will go to Titus County. This is this page, Commissioner, right here that I'm talking about right now. And on this budget, at the top of this budget, you will see the total agency budget, and you will see home delivered meals program. This is what it costs us. This is our expenditures. If you go across the sheet, that's CCAD, you'll see CBA. That's what it costs to do the CBA meals. It costs NETO the $659,936. Where these expenditures come from is based on our general ledgers and actual expenditures of what it costs for the program, which we go over these with the people that come from the Department of Aging every year. We go over all of our expenditures and see if they can help us figure out how we can cut this and cut that and bring our rates down as low as we possibly can. So the bottom line of all of this is, it costs NETO $6.59 a year to do a CCAD meal, and we get $4.95 back from the state. It costs NETO $6.68 to do a CBA meal, and we get $6.12 back on it. That's better. That's a better rate. But in total, we're losing quite a bit of money when we do the meals. So that's what the Texas Feeding Texas is for. It's to help meet the gap in between what we're receiving from the state. This $4.95 rate has been the same rate for about 10 years. It's the same rate for 10 years. And in the last 10 years, we've had raw food go up, we've had gas go up, the expenses have gone up, but the rate from the state stays the same. So the Department of Agriculture, I don't know, I don't tend to their business, I don't know, but they had monies and they put it into this program called Texas Feeding Texans. And last year, I don't know what we'll get this year, but last year we got $33,000 from them to offset our costs. We get donations from local organizations in Franklin County, we get from the United Way and local organizations, and Franklin County gives us $10,000 every year because they pay for all of the utilities on the building where we're cooking, the insurance, the maintenance, and upkeep on that building that we don't have to pay for out of that. So this Texas Feeding Texans goes towards the home delivered meals program that we're doing in 6 counties.
Okay, so our money is making up that, what I'll call that loss?
It goes towards it, yes.
Okay.
It does. But the main factor is it's the counties that brings the grant, not NETO. If you don't do the resolution, then that portion of the Texas Feeding Texans that would help pay will not be here. It will go to Texas. It won't go to Titus County. It says it very clearly on the front sheet that I handed you. That's just the way this program is written. The other counties, the other contracts are not written like that, but that's just the way this is written, and you can read it for yourself.
So our $1,300 goes towards making up which of those figures? The
17, well, on your, yes. Both.
The 68,000?
Both, because in Titus County, if you look on that last sheet, we're serving both CBA and CCAD meals here. It'll show you on that last sheet there. Right here. We're in Titus County in August, we served 845 CBA meals, 208 CCAD under, which means they were younger than seniors, and 397 that are elderly. So we served, that's where we get the $14.94. And we do not determine who gets these meals. Dad sends these names, they fax them to us. There are case managers, and they work for the Department from DADS, from the Department of Aging and Disabilities, and there are case managers assigned to every county. And when a person gets out of the hospital and starts to go home, or a person is no longer, doesn't have the right to be in the nursing home or anything, these community-based alternative meals, they will go out and visit with them, and we get a fax and say, in Titus County, Miss So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, they live here, they need a meal. And that's when we start them. We don't make that determination, the state does.
If Titus County was to choose not to participate, tell me exactly what would happen.
There won't be any of the money that we got last year. There won't be any of the Texas Feeding Texans money come to Titus County.
And how will that impact the residents of Titus County?
What we used it for last year was to fill in the gaps for every county of where we had shortfalls. If that happens and you don't, then, you know, we won't, there might be someone that might need a meal, but they'll go in a nursing home and stay for a week, and then they'll come back out. And so we don't deactivate them on the roll and make them start all over, because we know they're going to be back out. They're just in there taking rehab. And so when we do, but we won't be able to do that, because we won't be able to carry them. You know, it's just going to hurt us even worse on the money. So
will there be less meals served in Titus County if we discontinue our contribution?
there'll be, if none of these resolutions were passed, there would be less meals served everywhere.
I'm asking about ours and ours only. What will
Yes.
be the impact
Yes.
to our residents if we
Yes.
choose not to participate?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there would be an impact on the amount of meals that are served, or how many.
It's not just that NETO would suffer a bigger loss, but you'd keep serving the meals. You'd actually have to reduce the number of meals.
We would have to reduce the number of meals and the number of people that receive those meals.
I thought that we hired this outfit out of Texas.
It's Art Tech Council of Governments, and they have a program called the Aging Meals Program that has the senior citizen. We had it all those years, but now they have it. You didn't hire them, they took it.
The judge is a secretary, he's a treasurer of that outfit.
Exactly. That doesn't have anything to do with us anymore.
Okay, the entity that's actually serving the meals is called Senior Citizen
It is.
Services, right?
It is, yes.
And they're the ones doing
I
that.
know you are. It's
They're the
very,
one-
you're confused. Tell me how I can help.
Here, you need those building burned in Mount Vernon.
Yes,
So you moved over to Mount Pleasant and you cooked your meals here
yes,
and delivered them back, I guess, to
6 counties.
6 counties out of here.
Yes,
Got your place repaired in Mount Vernon, you moved back,
yes.
left this vacant.
No, we didn't. That's not the way it went. What happened was, we were still serving meals in Titus County, and Art Tech Council of Governments decided to run it themselves, and they brought Texarkana senior citizens in. We were serving meals at the meal center right up until they took the program. Up until the day they took the program. It was never vacant. We were there. We were, yeah.
Then I knew that you stopped doing it.
Yeah, we didn't stop. No.
How about that? You're an officer of that organization, why don't you take over? You'd like to do it.
Would you like to
They-
elaborate that
they
on
did
that, or
like the
would
way we were
would you want
doing
me
it.
to?
Oh, it doesn't
I
matter.
think he wants an answer, so go ahead and I'll let
I-
you answer.
They didn't like the way we were doing it. Art Tech Council of Governments.
One, and he's an officer,
Yes,
he's a treasurer,
yes. I didn't know he was, but yes.
he's a treasurer.
Okay.
That's almost a conflict.
Well, there's a little more to the answer that I'm not sure we're getting there. Can you expound on what
No.
some of those other reasons were? Okay.
No, I mean, they decided to take it in-house and run it in-house, which is absolutely their right. They can do that if they want to. They didn't ever have to give it to us in the first place.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
So we don't only have one senior citizen center now, and it's in Mount Vernon, and the county is helping subsidize it. So, yes, no, sir. Not the congregate meals, not the ones where you go in and sit down and eat on Edward Street. We're not in there anymore. We're not in that building anymore. Yes, from Mount Vernon. It's a different program that didn't come through the COG.
Nobody's ever answered the question here, but why they took it away from y'all. I'm confused on this.
Well, we had problems for a while in our aging program. They didn't like our menus, and they didn't like some of the way that we were doing things. And we were having some financial problems and stuff, and they just felt like it would be better if they did it in-house, and so they are. They can operate it themselves. There's nothing wrong with them doing that. They can do that. A lot of the COGs had already started doing that.
But the meals that you're serving these people, they're still nutritious meals and all?
Yes,
Right?
yes. They have to be, because we are monitored directly from the state on those meals. Yes.
Why did we want to put ATCOG vehicles over on Edward Street? Why did we want them? They want to allow them to put their trucks over there every day, and I see them over there.
You haven't,
What vehicles are you talking about?
the buses,
I'm not sure.
the Trax buses. I don't know, they have a maintenance facility
We
here.
have a maintenance facility here. Why they temporarily park them over there, I don't know the reason for that.
I don't either.
When you split up the utilities, you had them paying some of the utilities at Edward Street.
Well,
They wanted room for their drivers to lounge or something.
No, they've
Not lounge.
always had room over there. that
Yeah,
they
they've
use.
always, the buses and the buses have always had an office space in that building from the time it was built. And I was working for NETO in 1993 when it was built. When you say that was the year, Mike? Yeah, so the buses have had an office over there, the meal center's there, we had a case management office, and when it started, the food pantry was there. Reverend Gordon Nelms, that first started the food pantry, was in there with us too. He was there. That's what it was built for, the community services. I think it was Community Development Block Grant.
Okay. All right, any other questions related to this particular issue?
I make a motion that we give the grant of $1,372.75.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Fields.
Almost went and sat down, I forgot.
I'll second it. All those in favor of participating by approving a resolution to authorize the county to make a grant to NETO in the amount of $1,372.75 to be used over the year period from the 1st of February to the end of January of 16, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Are there any opposed? Beverly, thank you for taking your evening and coming over and explaining this to us.
Anytime that you have
Okay.
questions, I'll be glad to.
We thank you for providing this service. Item number 6, consider and possibly award bid for expansion of the computer room. I visited with Chris earlier, and we're still not happy with the prices on this computer room. Chris, anything you want to elaborate on that, or I'm going to ask you all to consider tabling this again, but Chris, if you want to say anything about that.
No, we're just trying to get more bids. If the court requested, we're trying to get more bids on it, and we're going out and one person we want.
Okay, we're going to need to get you on a mic.
I'm just going to have a personal meeting with different contractors one-on-one and trying to encourage them to bid on it, and trying to get the price down. And we're also rescoping so we can lower the scope. We had that question on that table in there that was running up the high cost. So I've reduced the scope, and I'm just going one-on-one with these guys, explaining what the project is, and we'll get some new prices in. So and I won't come back to the court until I get at least 4 or 5 prices, new prices.
Okay. All right. Would y'all be willing to table that one more time?
Make a motion, table.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Hockaday to table the award of a bid for the expansion of the computer room. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 7, consider and possibly award bids for the remodel of the Ratliff building.
We went out for bids on this over a month ago, probably 6 weeks ago. We had delayed it because they'd asked for some more time. We actually had 3 primary bidders bidding on it. At the last minute, Stansel Construction decided not to bid on it because he was too busy with some other stuff, so he actually pulled his response. So we didn't get it from. The estimate on the construction was $185,478. We got 2 bids in from D'Angelo Development, one at $184,500, and then from Richard Jones at $193,000. So they were in the ballpark. We've got the 12% design and construction management, and then we also have, as we discussed last time, I'd estimated it was going to be $5,000 to $6,000 for the engineering fee, which we need to do for the state Texas Board of Engineering. And that's actually got bids in from the mechanical, electrical, and the drafting that they've got to do, and a trip up here, and it came in at $6,400. So the total of everything is $213 using the D'Angelo bid, and $222,560 using the Jones bid.
Go back, and there's been some questions on the design and construction management. Please explain that that's you and what you're doing for that 12%.
That's all the design that went into it. That's putting the bid package together. That's actually managing the construction after it goes in, taking care of the problems that come up during construction, any changes that have to be redesigned or anything that we need to do over there. And as we found out on the adult probation, there's user changes that come up. In fact, we've got some more even now that aren't going to cost the court anything. We've just worked it into how we take care of it. They changed rooms, and we've got to change the names on the doors after we already had the names on the doors. So it's $14 more, we got it covered. And I'm just going to take it off and move a new name on over there. So those kind of things are what gets taken care of, as well as getting all the coordination, the updates with the court and all that kind of stuff. So.
The construction bids, explain how those were done. You still broke those down into lots of individual components, but both of these guys opted to bid on everything, even though they could have chosen one or more individual components.
We had on the flooring, we actually got a separate bid on the flooring, but they also provided it to both of the contractors. So the price that we got from Shoemate is actually included in the price for D'Angelo and Jones. But they had bid it separately, but yes, we did. We did it as we tried to do on all the other projects, is we bid it out. So there's a mechanical bid, there's an electrical bid, there's a carpentry bid, there's a millwork bid, there's a flooring bid, there's a ceiling bid, so that the smaller contractors could bid on it separately. And then we would package it all back together. What they found out, though, is that they can also just give that same bids to these guys, to Stansel, to Jones, to D'Angelo, and that's what they did too. So they gave me separate bids, and they gave the same bids to these guys. So they're incorporated, kept us with the best bid, because actually I know that on both D'Angelo and Jones, when they incorporated the Shoemate bid, their price went down by $500 or something. So it was getting a better bid. So it worked, served the same purpose, is that the local guys got the work, and the price got better. So,
what's included in communications security?
That's the telephone lines, the move over of the telephone lines, and the computers and stuff that need to go over. We don't know just yet exactly what that number is going to be until we get somebody over there. And since Rex is not available, since he passed, I didn't have a way to get an estimate on it. Seth is not geared up yet to basically give us an estimate on that. So that's an estimate based on the number of lines that will be moved. That's in accordance with what we did on adult probation. So. And that does not include any cameras, because I didn't know that right now there's no requirement for cameras in the tax and vehicle registration. So.
Okay.
What is the floor? You're talking about the floor. What is it, carpet
It's
or what?
tile floor.
When I'm going to tell you something, there's lots of people that lay out tiles. Have we checked with Lowe's and Home Depot and those places with this? You still got it, they still beat up here?
They did, and
We did all this up here, and they didn't, nobody could beat them when they come, we did it up here in this courthouse. We did all the tile in the courthouse,
who did?
the Commissioner's Court did, and we had Lowe's did it. They had a
Okay.
guy that did it, and they beat everybody else but Dudley.
You know, when you bid these out as separate projects, everybody has a chance to bid the individual separate projects. If I don't get any bids, I can't present anything to the court. What we did on adult probation was exactly that. We got somebody that bid the whole project, and we got people that bid pieces of it, and actually took the lower bids that we got from the pieces and actually introduced them to D'Angelo in the case over there, and he used that price instead of the price that he had in there. So when we presented it to the court, we presented it with the lowest priced components altogether.
On the adult probation, did Shoemate have a different contract?
They did, and they weren't the low bidder, though. Shoemate bid on that one, and they were higher, and that's part of the reason we got a better bid from them, I think, on this, is because they didn't get the bid at adult probation, and so they sharpened their pencils and gave us a better bid on the Ratliff building. But yes, they did have a separate bid over there, but they were...
Was that in the cost that we give D'Angelo for the adult probation building, Carl? The floor? Or was there another floor in the contract?
No, they're not. They weren't paid separate. They weren't paid separate because we just rolled them under D'Angelo. Now, Shoemate is paying separate under there for the blinds and those blinds, the blinds that they put in there afterwards. That is separate contract with Shoemate, and that is under separate funding too. It's not even through this. It's through the court fund where they get $500 per court case. I forgot what it's called.
I think what Thomas is asking is when you went out and got the bids, and Shoemate gave you a bid, did you solicit a bid from Lowe's?
We solicited a bid from everybody by virtue of putting in the paper. Did I specifically go to Lowe's and ask them? No. And what Lowe's does is they basically go get another contractor. Lowe's does not actually install it themselves. They have subcontractors on staff that actually go and install the Lowe's materials, but the actual contract labor is contracted through one of the subcontractors here local.
It's like what they did up here.
Yeah.
They had somebody on the staff.
But you make the payment to Lowe's for the work.
If you do that, yeah, that's the case, if they were the low bid. I mean, the same thing could happen with the Shoemate here. If you wanted to, you know, the D'Angelo price and the Jones price has the Shoemate contract in it. If you didn't want to pay them, we could take it out of the D'Angelo contract and pay Shoemate directly. It's the same dollar amount. It makes no difference which way it goes. It's just a little easier mechanics-wise to just put it all into one, and then that makes either D'Angelo or Jones responsible for paying Shoemate. If you'd rather pay Shoemate separately, we can do that.
You know, how much we're paying you, Chris, it looks to me like over the weekend that you go around and get these bids instead of just putting it in the paper.
Well, we do.
That may be impossible, but
No,
that's what I think you ought to do.
I agree, and that's what we're doing. That's what we did on the Riddle Street building. That's what we did on the adult probation, and that's what we did here. But I can't make the guys bid.
I understand that,
I
but
mean,
you said you didn't go out Lowe's.
I did not go to Lowe's. I did not go to Lowe's because quite frankly, Commissioner, I didn't look at them as a contractor. Can I do that in the future? Absolutely. But I didn't look at them as a contractor because I knew they basically go get a contractor to do it. So, and then, as I know right now, for example, D'Angelo buys this stuff at Home Depot on adult probation. So he was getting it from Home Depot anyway, so it's still buying local materials.
You think 3,000 will do it on the phone and computer wiring? You're going to significantly increase the number of people over there.
You got 12 people that'll be going over there, or 13, I guess it is.
This is really just putting the wire in the walls. That's all this
Exactly.
is.
Exactly. And it pleases the court, I would say I'm just giving you the estimate right now. If you want to wait till you get a hard number and we know exactly, there's no problem with waiting to do that. So you could hold on that until we had a hard number.
security, what kind of security would you anticipate? A alarm system there?
That would be it. I mean, it would be the alarm, but I've learned from adult probation, they've got not even hardwired units. They're mobile units. The whole pager system, it's basically their panic button is all mobile. So it's not even hardwired in. It's just a button that they carry with them and set them on their desk, and that's their panic button.
Okay.
While we're talking about the Ratliff building, one of the people working over at the early voting showed me a machine that had rust on it. Apparently, water had got on it where it was stored over here, I guess, they said in the Cadell building. I don't know where it was stored. Somewhere over here in the annex. Have we got some of the voting machines stored over here?
They're stored in what we call in the Cadell building over there. And if there's a leak in the roof, then we need to know about it because I've not heard about that. And the roof's got a 20-year warranty on it. So if the roof is leaking, then we need to go back to the warranty. But it wasn't leaking when they were working on it, and Richard Jones can attest to that also. I mean,
No, I'm just looking at the machine. They showed it to me. Look at
Yeah.
the water had been on it, rust.
well, it might have had water on it from moving it. It might have had water from where it was sitting in the Ratliff building. I don't know.
I'll contact Leonard about that. I had not heard about that.
I hadn't either.
Somebody might have been crying. All the taxes got to pay. Tears on that. Could happen. Could happen, you know. I really don't understand why Judy Cook, I know nobody wants to hear it, that there's enough room in that cafe we're going to build, the Cadell building, and put Judy Cook in. I know there's a difference in the floor. And save this money on this Ratliff building.
There's not well, you mean the difference in the 2-foot floor where we've got the Cadell? There's 1,100 square feet, and they need like 3,000 square feet. So
3,000.
for the tax and vehicle registration and elections administration, it's about 3,000 square feet.
Oh, yeah, no.
What
I'm talking
Judy
about-
Cook and them are currently right now in 1,500 and some square feet. And what they're going over there is going to like 1,650, 1,700 square feet. So they're getting a little bit more space, but they won't fit in that corner because we already tried it. And she actually came over and we sat down there and we kind of walked it and looked at it. They won't fit there. It's not big enough.
I'm talking about the other side of adult probation on the end of the annex down over here.
Other side of
The corner
with the Cadell building, the Cadell.
And the coffee shop.
That would be big enough, except you've got the 3-foot drop in the floors.
Let's put a handicap ramp.
Then you eat up, and we looked at that. Actually, we did, Al. We looked at it. What happens when you put the handicap ramp in there with the slope that you got and dropping it 3 feet, you lose 45 feet of run, 4 foot wide. So you eat up, what's that, 45 times 4? It's about 200 square feet that you eat up just putting a ramp in there. So that was one of the problems. We looked at even putting adult probation over there and keeping them on the back side. That's why we diverted from that and made that the storage. Could you move elections administration all into the Cadell building? I think you could, as long as you had someplace else to vote. You could have the administration and all the storage, and they would fit in the Cadell building, as long as you kept them someplace to vote. And they're still having to move equipment, so. But again, all of this is stuff that we discussed early on when we were doing the planning for who was going to go.
I know, I shouldn't have brought it up. That's reading them tears, all the taxes. Rusted machine.
Any questions for Chris? Are y'all ready to make a decision here? Do you need some more time to think on this? What would you like to do? Nobody's rushing you.
You talked about on the phones and stuff, you don't have a hard bid on that yet.
On the communications and security, yeah.
Communications. We're not
Again, all that
hurry to
is
get that done. I would like to have a hard number on that.
on the wiring. And all that includes, remember, that's not going to include any new telephones or a new switch. Do they possibly need a new switch since there's going to be considerably more people in that location? That's a question that I don't know.
I don't either at this point as far as the switch situation. That's what I was going to have to get Rex to look at it, and I've got to find somebody else to do that right now. Seth can do it, but he's kind of tied up with other things, and he's trying to fill back in for his dad right now. So,
Well, he'll be the one that ultimately hooks up that phone system, because they're on the same phone system that we're on here, so he could probably answer the question, if I know that there's this many people here, he can tell us what equipment upgrades might be required in that building. But as far as just a dollar figure to pull wire for phones and computers, that's probably going to come close, but Commissioner Fields says he'd like a firmer figure there.
and just so you know, this construction is still not slated to start until after the election, and we're going to do it in one phase now. We're not going to do it in two phases. And that makes it easier for everybody. It makes it easier for Leonard and his folks, so they basically get out of the clutter and the dust, and then the construction should go faster also. So we wouldn't start it until after November 4th. I would assume that Monday afterwards is when it would start, and it's slated for 60 to 70 days of construction, a couple months. Of course, we'll have the holidays in there, so we'll work around that too. So 2 months plus holiday time, whatever that is.
What'd you say, 2 months?
A couple of months is all it's going to take construction-wise, but like I said, we'll have Thanksgiving and we'll have Christmas and New Year's all in there too. So I would say make it 75 days, and that makes it, probably takes into account the time off that they're going to have for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's.
James, is that reasonable? Is 75 days start to finish reasonable for this job? Be real conservative with me.
I'll just say 90 days.
9 days. I will basically contract for taking.
Well, I'm just asking you what's realistic. I mean, you know what across the street ended up being, and if it's going to be 120 days, I don't mind you telling me that. I just want to know. Even including the holidays in there in that period of time, because you're going to lose some time in there. Okay. So essentially December, January, February. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, would you like to postpone this? Would you like to make a decision tonight, knowing that your communications is an estimate? What would you like to do?
What did the communications in the adult probation, do you remember about what that ran, Chris?
It was, we had cameras in there as well as the wire and the communication. It was like 3,600, I believe, something around there, 4,000.
Did that include the camera wiring?
It included the camera wiring.
But it didn't include the switch called the new telephone switch, did it?
No, it didn't.
How much? Do you remember how much that was? I don't remember.
I want to say it was in the $1,300 range for the switch.
That run it up pretty close to 5,000.
It was. I think the total over there was 4,000, 45. I don't have the number sitting right in front of me right now, but it was in that range. It's like 45, 46 for everything. And that was the switch, that was the wiring for the camera, that was the telephone wiring, and that was the computer wiring. And that was putting computer wiring and telephone wiring on 2 walls in every office. So they had some options on how they moved furniture around. So we kind of doubled up. So they could either put on this wall or that wall without having cords running all over across the floor.
Well, I think you're going to have quite a few more drops necessary for phones and for computers. I think 5,000 are probably going to be closer to it. But again, still an estimate.
That's why I put it as an estimate, because I knew you guys were rather hard bids, and I don't have a hard bid right now. So I purposefully set it apart so that it would not hold up what you might want to decide on the rest of it, because this can wait, and I can have that number before we actually start construction. So
You don't think it should be less phones and stuff, that office, than there is in the adult probation?
Well, it's going to be more than what's over there right now. That thing's not wired for the number of people that is going to be in that office, so there'll be quite a bit more additional wire brought over there than there is right now. So
I'm
You know.
just thinking over at the tax office, you got people sitting in a window, they don't have a phone there, surely.
Oh, yeah, they've all got phones. They've all got phones. Everyone in there's got a phone. Everyone's got a computer drop, everyone's got a phone. And I don't know if they'll need a new telephone switch to handle significantly more people over there or not. I would assume we're going to need that.
Okay. And the reason, the switch that's over there right now was put in when Senator Ratliff was in that building. So there were more switches and more phones over there because each of those offices had people in them. There was more than the 3 people that are there now. So I would venture to say there's at least 10 to 12 lines over there just by looking at the telephone wiring that's in the closet.
Are they connected to our system? Can you dial 4 digits to get over there? You have to dial a 10-digit number. So they're on a standalone system over there. You may be looking at an entire new telephone system over there.
Maybe. Depends on how y'all want to run it.
I mean, unless, I think we tried to tie them in when we hooked up with Suddenlink back 3 years ago, and there's an infrastructure limitation that we had there. So we're going to have a new telephone system there. That could be, $4,000 right there.
Well, I can do this for you guys, is in the next few weeks, go back and talk with Seth and talk with the folks that'll be working over there and see exactly what we need. If you're trying to get them back onto the 4-digit number, that does change things. I mean, if we're just expanding what they've got over there, that's one system, but that means what I'm hearing now is they're not tied into y'all, and it sounds like y'all want them tied in. So we need to look into.
You may or may not be able to, is what I'm saying. The reason we didn't the last time wasn't to save money. It was just they were never tied in because there's not fiber run to that location, I believe, is the answer.
And if we did run fiber, we'd have to go overhead and then come back into the annex to get back into that computer room and telephone.
So we'll want a modern telephone system to replace that older one that's over there. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
So I think you're looking at, let's say we added $4,000 to that figure and put you up there close to $220,000. Now, Seth can answer the question for us. Tell us about this system. Is it always going to be a standalone? Can it be tied into our existing system, or do we need to make plans for a completely new standalone phone system there? In which case, you might get a good package deal if he's selling you a phone system.
I'll get with Seth.
Well, Judge, I'd like to make a motion that we table this till we get a harder figure on.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Fields to table the decision on the Ratliff building remodel till we get some better information or some more accurate information on our telephone systems, computer wiring, etc. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And that's unanimous. Chris, thank you very much. I'll help you in any way I can rounding up information with Seth. He may be extremely busy now. I really don't know what his status is. And
The last time I talked to him, he was extremely busy filling in and finishing up things that his dad had left, including the adult probation. So he came over there the next day and finished all that and made the tie-ins and stuff. But I don't know that he's the only resource for doing this too, so I can check that also. I know that he does all the county work, and his dad did too, and I personally, I'd rather stay with that if that'd be y'all's pleasure. And so we may be on his time schedule as to what he can get done. So.
Yeah. Very good. All right, well, thank you very much. Let's jump while we're on this subject. Jump to item number 10, consider and possibly submit a letter to the Texas Board of Professional Engineers stating the county's intention to comply with provisions of the Texas Engineering Practice Act as it relates to construction projects. And this is based on a request that I had from Rick Valdez with the Texas Board of Professional Engineers, who was involved in our adult probation project and made sure that we abided by those specifics. And he said, I understand you've got some additional projects that you're looking at. You know, can we count on you all to provide the necessary engineering and architectural services? And I said, absolutely. He said, would you mind putting that in writing? So I have put that in writing here, and I'd like just all the commissioners to be aware of this so that down the road, when we're all gone here, we remember that we've got to get engineering work done sometimes when the project calls for it. So listen to this letter here. Dear Mr. Valdez, the county has just completed a construction project to house the adult probation department. Other construction projects are under consideration. We appreciate your guidance as to the requirements of the Texas Engineering Practice Act and how it affects our county construction projects. With your help and in cooperation with local architect Chris Basham, the Commissioners Court is very aware of the requirement that our county employ the services of architects and engineers on public projects such as ours. The Commissioners Court recognizes our legal obligation to comply with the laws of this state, and we hereby agree to those obligations where engineering and architectural services are required. Agreed and accepted as of today. And I'd like to get everybody's signature on that if you're willing to do that.
We've done that, we've already done the engineering part of that.
Well, the only engineering work we've done was related to adult probation. And there are certain specifications in the law that says if your project is so big, you've got to have an engineer stamp the electrical, mechanical, plumbing, structural, depending upon which or all of those attributes reaches a certain dollar threshold, you have to have the sign-off or the stamp, as it's called, by an engineer on the plans for that particular project.
And we did that on the electrical.
We did that on the electrical and on the HVAC. But what he wants us to do is, okay, now that you understand what you have to do here, and I know you've got some projects in the works that are maybe even bigger than that one, I want to know that I can count on you guys to continue to provide those engineering stamps and architectural stamps, in which case we're using Chris on this one.
Well, you've already signed a letter of compliance illegally on the adult probation building.
Excuse me?
And I'd like to say this. When the building on the north side of the square...
I want you to go back to the first statement you just made.
What? There it is. You wrote it to Mr. Valdez in August.
Right.
Without the commissioners even knowing about it or
No, I put a
approving it.
copy of it in there for you to look at.
You what? I never seen it, but anyway,
Here we go again.
it don't make any difference. You can't, the commissioners have to vote on that. I don't think it's legally, you can do that. But anyway, let me tell you about this building.
Okay.
When the building on the north side of the square over there, next to Hamilton Jewelry, people were remodeling it, the structure wasn't sound enough to stand up. It was being remodeled. It was discovered that there were some problems with the supporting structure. I became concerned with the remodel by the county of the annex buildings on the south side over here of the square, which are similar in age. These buildings are more than 100 years old. Are these structures strong enough? We need to be very careful to protect the public and eliminate any liability issues. At that time, I asked Chris Basham if I could see the plans. I wanted to see if he had an engineer stamp on the plans and if it had been approved by a professional engineer. Chris said that the plans were at his house and he would get them to me. A week had passed and I didn't hear from Chris, so I emailed the county manager, city manager, and I asked him if building permits were kept that the city had issued. And he referred me to Eddie Pruitt. And I emailed Mr. Eddie Parrott, to inform me that the city did not keep a copy of the plans on file. I again asked Chris if I could see the plans. He came by my office with a copy of all the same hand-drawn plans that he had previously given to us in the Commissioner's Court. The Texas Government Code requires that any public building be approved by a professional engineer. Chris Basham is a licensed architect, and he should know the laws and the rules. And when the office of the Texas Board of Professional Engineers inquired The county judge wrote a letter indicating compliance by the county. And that's the letter I just did right there. I think it was illegal. This should go through the commissioner's court. The county judge should know this type of agreement requires the approval of the commissioner's court. You can't agree to compliance to that without the court. I don't think you can legally.
Agree to follow the law? Sure I
To
can.
follow the law? Oh, okay. But you're making a commitment. If you read the letter, you're making a commitment, and then you.
Abide by the law? That's right.
Okay. The threshold well, I'm not a lawyer. The threshold requiring a professional engineer's stamp of approval by the Texas Board of Insurance is $8,000 for mechanical and duct work that you put in your letter. But you didn't tell him that we had paid $229,000 to D'Angelo and $19,000 something to the architect. So the thresholds are $8,000 for mechanical and electric and $20,000 for construction. The county has exceeded the minimums on the Riddle Street building, the Cadell building, and the adult probation building. The county did not get an engineer's stamp on any of these projects, and the total of those taxpayers paid over $350,000 for those three items. I think the Commissioner's Court made a mistake when we hired someone's friend to be in charge of this large amount of money. Now we're talking about another $300,000. Legally, these projects should have been bid out. We can get an engineer, architect to build, design, and build, because I certainly checked that out, and we're allowed to do that, but we should have bid it out and got more architects involved instead of just hiring a friend to do this.
Whose friend are you talking about?
Chris Basham, somebody's friend.
Whose friend is he?
Whose friend? I don't know, but he's got to be. I figured he was yours. You paid.
He is my friend.
You paid when Eric Bregner asked Chris down at the Republican Forum why he paid your partner Larry Lawrence $9,000, and he said Chris told him and said, "Well, I give $7,000 of that to Larry Lawrence to help me manage this job." So anyway, I'm assuming he's your friend. But anyway, just to protect the county, all these projects must be checked and signed off by a professional engineer who has been selected by and approved by this Commissioner's Court, not somebody's friend. That's my recommendation.
I'll make a statement. Al is right on about half of what he's got here. He's not telling the whole story. The state law requires the engineer approval if it is over $8,000 on mechanical, electrical, structural, or any of the engineering disciplines. If it's over $8,000 on a project, it does require an engineer's design and seal. It also requires an architect's seal on anything over $50,000. So you have the architect in me that is a registered state architect, and that covers all of the buildings we've done, the Riddle, the adult probation, the coming up Ratliff, and anything else we do in the future. So you have the architecture covered. The engineering is covered by virtue of what we just proposed now on the Ratliff building. We did not have that case on the adult probation because what we had was separate projects that were bid out, and those projects initially were under the $8,000 limit. So we had the vandalism that occurred under the HVAC and the main electrical panel that put both of those projects over the $8,000 limit, thus incurring the need for the $8,000, which is what we did. Rick Valdez was brought into that. The judge, he sent a letter to the judge. I did not see that the court was doing anything wrong except responding to the law. It is the law. And the letter was sent to the judge, and the judge responded back to him in kind. He didn't obligate anything as I saw it. All he did was say, we're doing what we're supposed to. I have. All he said was we were doing what we're supposed to be doing and that we would continue to follow the law in the future. The law is not as black and white as you would like it to be. After several discussions with several of the engineers that follow that I work with across the state, and I work with several engineers all the way down to San Antonio and the Valley and Dallas, just for the record, There's a battle going on in the state between the architects and the engineers about who can sign and seal drawings, and it's even gotten into the contractors now about contractors can't even do some stuff without having engineer seals, and there's a whole line of it. And I just, for the record also, I just went through the state of Oklahoma laws because I'm getting registered in Oklahoma, and their laws are all different. But they're the same kind of story about where do we draw the line and what's needed. Rick Valdez himself stated that the law is the law and he has to adhere to it, but it's pretty ridiculous as to the amounts that are there for protecting public safety. But those numbers came about because of the battle that was going on in the court system. So we are in compliance now, Commissioner Riddle. We are in compliance. The drawings that you had asked for were sufficient to get the thing built. As an architect, that's all that's required. You didn't get a stamp set. I can give you a stamp set. That's no big deal. I got a stamp. I can stamp it. We do have stamp drawings that you may or may not have seen yet on the mechanical and electrical that were through the Rick Valdez thing that you initiated with the drawings. And so I don't really see that there's any problem going forward here now. I think everybody's in compliance. And you mentioned last time about the structural over at the adult probation. We did not touch the structural. We did not touch the structural. Everything we took down was internal partitions, not important to the structure of the building. And if you don't understand that, it's because you're not an engineer or an architect. And that what we took down had nothing to do, and we specifically stayed away from anything structural because we knew that if we did, we'd probably open up some problems. So we stayed away from it, and so it is exactly like it was before. We haven't done anything to it. If we've done anything, just by adding the partition walls, they're completely separate from the structure at all. So
I suppose that then, if we don't look at the structure, and we don't have an engineer check the structure, oh my God, it's okay. And then we're going to let the public do it. You need to read these occupation codes. You'll get a lot more. It gets into this a lot more detail.
if you want to preempt any kind of future study with doing a complete structural analysis, we can do that. What we did on the adult probation is we did the analysis when we did the asbestos. That was a precursor to doing any construction about finding out the building. We did the asbestos and we found out where it was and we took care of it. That is the same kind of study. Had the court wanted to do a structural analysis of it, we could have done that in the very beginning. We can still do a structural analysis. I've got enough information I could go back and we could backfill it, but the bottom line is it wasn't requested, it wasn't required. If you wanted to do it, we can do it.
It is required.
It's not.
Oh, well, that's what you say, but you said last week you'd give me the plans too, so.
And you
say
have
a lot of things that ain't right.
You have the plans
Yeah,
out.
well, you spent a good story, but here's
No,
the thing about it.
I tell the facts as they are, and you know that, and you're up here trying to grandstand, so I mean, I can't fight that.
Okay, well,
Because you're going to find something to grandstand about.
I'm grandstanding. I'm telling you that we should not have a public building, and we're required by law to make sure we have an engineer certified and it's stamped on it. And
you're no lawyer.
And an architect. That's right. And I'm telling you,
What would
it
you
don't
like
make
to do?
any-
What would you like to do on the Ratliff building?
Well, you've got it in your cost there this time to get it done. I'm talking about this old building, this 103-year-old building, 105-year-old building.
I don't know how many other ways we can answer your questions.
Well, that's one of your styles of doing that. You don't understand or you can't answer. That's
No,
2 years I've learned that.
I think
If
he's
you don't want
tried.
to-
I mean, he's the most qualified person in the room to answer that question.
Who is?
Chris Basham is.
Well, Chris Basham is selling it to fit what he's done already, not what should have been done. Why, you think he's going to go up here, I should have done that? Why, hell no, he's not. And I'm telling you that
Well, it
those people...
satisfied Mr. Valdez with the State
it
Board
did?
of Engineers.
Okay, well, you didn't tell him that you spent $229,000.
Sure we did.
You just said you...
Sure we did.
Read that again. Where is it in there? Read it.
He has a full understanding of this project over here. Right, Chris?
We spent a lot of time on the phone with Mr. Valdez asking about the law, asking about the interpretation of the law and how it came about, and whether or not we needed to do anything else given what we were doing. And he actually endorsed the idea when we told him that we broke it into individual projects by discipline, because we were trying to get more local contractors And he said that was fine to do that. Because I was concerned that maybe I misinterpreted it, and he confirmed that that was a valid approach to do that, and that's how we got to where we were.
Well, let's sum this up then. You guys think it's okay. You guys, meaning you're the architect, you think it's okay, and you've convinced the judge. Now you've convinced Rick Valdez that you did the law. So we should open up a public building that's 100 and something years old, a lot of different buildings. As you said one time, they had separate walls, and some of them had joined walls, and we should just let it go. And if a thing breaks down and people get killed, we can't do that. The law says a public building must have an engineer's certification on it. And you're trying to get around it by, what did you call it, grandstanding? Yeah, that's what you're doing. Well, or just telling a damn big fib. It don't make any difference what you call it, the same difference.
Why do you think Chris Basham or I or anybody else on this Commissioner's Court would not want to do the appropriate thing if it came down to doing a structural study of that building?
Judge, you want me to answer that?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you what. I can remember a conversation that you and I had about the historical building, the old library up here. And I said something about the asbestos. He said, you said, that's no problem. You just put a carpet over it. It wouldn't make any difference. So that right away tells me that you don't really care what's right, just whatever I can get away with. So that's why I believe that this court would do it differently. Why would you not do it? Why wouldn't you want to protect the public is what I want to know. And why wouldn't you tell him you spent $229 million?
Because I want to spend smart dollars on the project, and I'm going to rely on an expert to tell me what's the right thing to do. That's the answer.
Well, the law says you're supposed to get an engineer stamp along with the architect stamp, and he knows that.
And we've done that.
You didn't have an engineer stamp except on the electrical stuff, the $850.
Okay. Well, we're going
And wait a minute,
round and
I have
round with
another
this.
question. Somebody stole those carpet stuff. I never seen it. Is there a police report on that?
I don't know.
Nobody reported to the police? Did anybody investigate?
I don't know.
It was
Do you know, Judge?
it was vandalized.
It was vandalized?
Yeah.
Do we have insurance to cover that?
Was it below? What was the issue on that? I think it was our deductible. It wasn't going to be worth filing on it, as I recall the conversation. It was just damaged enough to where we weren't comfortable replacing the whole thing. So it was unfortunate that that happened, but don't know what we should have done different. All right, anyway, how can I respond to Mr. Valdez?
I don't know how you can respond to Mr. Valdez. You can do it, you can take a copy of the plans when you get a job like a professional architect should do and get an engineer to put his stamp on it like it should have been. And that's the way.
That's what we're agreeing to do. I've read you the letter. Anybody have any questions about it?
Well, I'm not going to give you an open letter to sign. It's to be signed on each project after I see the stamps on the plan, and I think if I was a responsible commissioner, I would be wanting that, because it's going to be the commissioners, if we have an incident.
Do I need to read the letter again? It says, "This Commissioners Court recognizes our legal obligations to comply with the laws of this state, and we hereby agree to those obligations where engineering and architectural services are required."
No. It should be voted on in open court.
That's what we're doing.
Okay, well, I'm voting, I don't want to sign that letter, and I don't think that you should sign it. We'll do it on the Ratliff building. When I see the plans, and if I'm a commissioner...
Can you imagine any particular project where you wouldn't be willing to comply by the laws of the state as it relates to architectural and engineering services?
No,
That's all we're agreeing to here.
Judge, can I say that?
Sure.
Judge Nancy.
Sure.
The requirement to go to Rick Valdez is not a project-by-project requirement, nor to go to the State Engineering Board. The law states that the project has to have the architect and the engineer on it. It is the responsibility of the community to make sure that the projects have the architecture and the engineering seals on it, not the state, not Rick Valdez. Rick only gets called in and his components of it as an investigator when if there's an interpreted violation of the law. That's why he got called in. That's why the judge and I had discussions with Rick Valdez, why Rick Valdez and the judge had correspondence, was because he was investigating a potential violation of the law, which he determined was not done after we corrected the mechanical and electrical after he was abandoned. So he made the determination that there was not a violation, and he's no longer involved in that project or any other project. This letter, as I understood it, was his request just to make sure that the commissioner and the county understood that it was the law and you needed to follow it. And so that's all it was. It's not an by project request at all. The state's not doing that. The state does not approve each drawing, each project.
That's right, you're right on target. That's exactly what the law says. It must be signed off by the architect and an engineer. It says it right here in the occupancy law, and the occupancy codes, and that's it. And you don't have a sign-off engineer on that building, just the mechanical, not the construction. You violated that law. Well, yeah, well, grandstand a little bit, as you say. What do you call it, grandstand?
After reading this,
You what?
so I need to back up. I'm completely confused. You know, it looks to me like it says we got to have a engineer. But I'm reading that. You know, Chris says we don't.
Could I get you Mr. Valdez's phone number and each of you give him a call? Would that help? I think he could summarize for you in a 5-10 minute conversation, and I think he'd be happy to do that.
Yeah. I'll get it up to court.
Why don't we table this? I'll explain to him the situation, and I'll get you a phone number for Rick Valdez. I want you guys involved in this.
What's wrong with just doing it per project? Why do we have to sign a blank letter? Why don't we just do it the next project?
Ask Mr. Valdez why we have to sign it. This is not my doings. This is something he asked us for. This was his request. He sent it to me and said, "Judge, can I get your signature agreeing that you'll do this?" And I said, "I want the whole Commissioner's Court to be aware of what I'm committing to, so that somewhere down the road somebody remembers every time we have a construction project, let's be sure that we get the requisite architectural and engineering work done."
Well, I just don't understand why you want to sign this letter. When we do this Ratliff building and we get the plans and it's signed by an engineer and an architect, we can sign a letter and let that one go. And then when we do
Will you call
courtroom-
Mr. Valdez? If I give you his number and let him explain to you why he wants something in writing from us? Would you do that?
Well, I'll talk to him anytime.
Okay, good deal.
I'll
Can I get a
talk
motion to
him.
table this?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Hockaday. All right, item number...
Want to vote on it?
Oh, yeah, let's vote on it. All those in favor of tabling the response to, or the letter to, the Texas Board of Professional Engineers, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
And it's unanimous. So I got one opposed by...
I don't want to table it. I don't want it.
He doesn't
Period.
want it.
I don't want to
Okay.
table it or not.
We've got
I don't
4
want it.
yay, 1 nay. Okay. Item number 8, consider and possibly approve purchase and installation of security cameras in the new adult probation offices at a cost of $9,420 to be paid out of security fund. Diane, you had asked to speak on this, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
I have a question. I just want to know, is Dennis Newman going to continue to do the security cameras for the county? Since his wife is the new county clerk, which is a conflict of interest, for her husband to have to be doing the security cameras in her office and the county. If the security project security camera project were advertised, I'm sure that we can get another qualified contractor to do the job. This would be in the best interest of the county and the Newmans.
And I
I think we have everybody in town that does that.
Well, first of all, I think you bring up a valid point, and I have no problem with that. I think that we've leaned towards Dennis in the past and probably will continue to in the future just because of the service that he provides here being local. I'm not aware of somebody else here in town, but guys, I'm always interested in getting the best deal that we can get, not only for the present initial cost, but for the service. And if y'all would like some other bids on this, I'm happy to get those for you.
We did do that at one point, had somebody out of Paris, and it got where we couldn't get them when we had problems. It was just a headache trying to.
Well, either way, it needs to be serviced, and we have a service contract. Okay.
Well, I just wanted to stress the conflict of interest because you're having the husband doing the security cameras in the wife's office.
And I think it's a valid point. All right, you've heard what Diane has to say. Does that have an impact on what you'd like to do with item number 8?
This will be done this year, won't it?
It'll be done immediately.
Well, I make a motion, go ahead and take care of it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hinton, second by Commissioner Fields, all in favor of approval of going ahead and getting the cameras. Remember, we've already done the wiring work on this. This will be installation of the cameras, of the DVR that will make the recordings, and he'll use the same software, the same integration software that he has used in our other cameras that can be viewed by the officials that we turn that job over to, at least the sheriff's office and then anybody else that we want to give access to reviewing those recordings. All those in favor of awarding this to Newman, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. No.
Okay, we've got 4 yea and 1 nay on that one. All right, item number 9. Consider and possibly take action on relocation of certain county offices after adult probation moves into their new location. I don't think that we're going to arrive necessarily at any final conclusions here, but there's a lot of folks tossing me a lot of ideas, a lot of wishes and wants, all of which make good sense. But I want you all to be involved in this decision and understand what they're asking for and get your thoughts on relocation of some of these offices. Now, we've already gotten the move made by adult probation. They've taken over in their new offices. They leave behind now an empty office, the northeast corner, the northwest corner, and the office there by the elevator. Some time ago, John Mark Coburn had asked if he could move his department into the northeast corner, which would be the main headquarters of adult probation. That would give John Mark the main office in the corner. The area next door to that office he would like to use as a conference room. That would give the central desk there for his one employee, and then the back 2 offices for his judicial assistant and his investigator, as well as that, of course, that entry room. Should be minimal amount of remodel work there. So he's made that request.
That's all in the northeast corner.
That's all in the northeast corner. That would not take up the west corner or the office by the restroom and the elevator. Kind of give us an update on your wishes in your department, because you also had come and voiced your wishes there back many months ago when we first brought this up.
Well, we need a little more space than what we got. Initially, I thought we could just stay up here on this floor, maybe move James down the bottom floor, let us expand into where James is. Talk to the judge, and talk to the girls in the office, and maybe it might make more sense for us to go down on the first floor at John Mark's old office on the treasurer and auditor. And I think they also want to move James down three of us would be on the same floor, we all work together.
Is that office enough room with reconfiguring to house the three of you?
I think so. I haven't sat down and worked at it, so we can look at it over the next few months.
But you think that's a better move than you staying up there
Well,
where you
I
are?
think it would make it easier to work with all three offices together if we brought James down and us down and have Cheryl and James, so we all work together.
Yeah, and I'm getting to that.
I think probably works better. I haven't sat down and tried to figure out exactly how with all the officers. He's got some security stuff up there in the front. I don't know if it's really well, after they talk to staff. Some of the staff kind of like having that security stuff there, but I don't know. I have to be able to work with the commission, to sign all their paperwork, stuff like that, we do that in the hall, in his other office. Because we leave that there for y'all, we just have to come downstairs and do that part. One time we had a table like that inside our office. I don't know if that fitted those.
Christy's shaking her head. She's shaking her head.
You better talk to her.
What do you like?
Last time about if it was able, that we could have Paul's office, about table, and have the commissioner's table set up with the bills, and then at home, need to go on conference with someone, or the commissioners need to go on private with somebody, that they can have it straight.
That's in Paul Lindsay's old, or his current office.
It's right across the road.
And that, as I see it, that leaves only one option for James. Either he stays upstairs somewhere or he moves downstairs. Okay, well, I've got a couple other folks wanting that spot too.
I mean, that was way back, whatever's happened since then.
Yeah.
It would not be as good as if he's still in the second.
Right, I mean, if he's gonna stay up there, we might as well stay up there. I mean,
We have to work with him.
yeah.
Okay. Well, let me just, while we're at it, and I have no problems with any of this. These are all valid wishes. Steve is here, but let me read a letter that Steve handed to me. County Veteran Service Officer would like to request to return to the office number 103 on the first floor. That's the northwest corner there where Miss Kesey used to be. With the opening of the space resulting from the move of adult probation, I'd like to move back into the office previously occupied by Opal Kesey. With her passing in 2009, adult probation took over her space, and the Veteran Service Officer was moved to the basement, which at one time had been the office of the Environmental Enforcement Officer. Many veterans still have difficulty finding the present office, even after being given directions saying, well, I remember it used to be on the first floor at the north end. I've been trying to find you. The return to number 103 would also provide close access to the lobby and display case utilized by the Veteran Service Officer and the Historical Commission. This would allow for easier display, case, theme, change out for public viewing, and the north flagpole for ceremonial flag displays. The Historical Commission would also benefit from this move by allowing display of some artifacts that have been or may have been donated. Then I've got,
Well, I think we can eliminate them by finding an office by putting some kind of sign at that entryway out there where it comes out, or the way it comes out of his office. I think we could put a sign there where it'd be easier for them to locate that instead of having to come in and someone tell them where it's at.
let me toss one more in the mix. Juvenile probation, as you will recall, we gave them the okay to use the law library, or the area we're calling the law library, back corner there of the old break room at the annex, for doing their training. They're now doing training a couple of nights a week. They'll have anywhere from 9 to 12 people that will attend training after hours. So they're using that area over there. They have asked if there was any way possible that they could return that training area back over here to the main courthouse where their current offices are. They would appreciate that. And of course,
In their office offices up there?
Well, they need, I don't know if they have enough room up there to do that, is the only thing. And they need enough room for a, I guess, video presentation and a speaker and 9 to 12 attendees. So they would need a, you know, a decently sized room in order to do that.
Training right.
Well, I asked her about that. I said, what would be wrong with using the courtroom? You got plenty of room in here. So, you know, she said, we'd like to have a place where we could leave our teaching supplies there, I guess, projector, screen, whatever. That was the response when I suggested the courtroom. Anything is possible. You know, we're not all going to get our wish on this deal. There's only so many spaces. Those are the only things that I know of that have been mentioned. Diane had talked to me a long time ago about having some additional space for storage, getting some of that stuff off of, what, is it third floor? On third floor?
And one of those would be big enough for a training. One of those would be plenty big.
Would you have any personnel in that corner, or just storage?
Probably just old books and journals and, you know, whatever we have up on the first floor.
Okay. Move it into Carl's office.
We did have to go through a case because we have to do minutes a lot when we get our records, we have to go upstairs. You could just go down the hall. You know, I mean, it'd be not even.
I hate to see us tie an office just for storage, you know, but, you know, for the time being, that'd probably be all right, you know.
We could do this, just move James.
He should have that in there.
Those two offices,
Yeah, I think we do.
really, both of them, two of them.
Two offices.
There's a lot of stuff up there. I mean, a lot of time. Of course, maybe Joan will be able to scan those meals in while she's there. I didn't have time. We've been trying to scan the fees and everything else. Maybe she could get those, if she could get all those scanned in, which is a lot, it would take like 3 or 4.
Would you need James's office too?
Oh, no. I mean, just.
Steve, could we put you in James's old current office?
Being on the first floor or second floor is not going to make much difference. With the steps on the outside, those hands get open off the elevator, that's one hands.
Okay.
Looks to me like with the veterans and some of those older people I see coming, that you'd be better off where you're at.
The ground level access does help that situation. The problem, one of the examples I stated with the judge, the problem I have is with some of the older veterans, even when you explain to them where the office is located, when they get here, they forget all that, still try to go to this easy office. So by the time they find me, it's 30 more minutes before they get their wind back. And we can do what's needed.
If we put some kind of sign or something, this is it.
We have a middle sign on the other side, where this come off and those tags. There's some things we can't do done.
On each corner.
Office space itself is more of a storage room than it is an actual office space. There's lots of stuff that the historical commission, and I say lots, there's not all that stuff. What we have is a place of storage. That's ideally a better storage location than it is an office. But as far as where the person office is now versus the old church office, one of the either one of those would work fine.
Okay. All right. I don't think we have to make any decisions immediately. I know that John Mark would like to go ahead and begin his move. Or is everyone okay with him relocating to the northeast corner?
We're going to move the election office?
Well, what we had talked about that, John Mark, that's the one I forgot. He said, could we go ahead and make the move and let Leonard be in the southwest corner? And I believe John Mark has visited with, he's not here, has visited with Leonard about that, but putting Leonard there in John Mark's current office. Would you be okay with that? John Mark's rationale, his rationale is he really needs to get his judicial assistant, who is new and desperately trying to get familiar with this job, into a more private area rather than being there in that public space there where she's it's easier to access her. That was his request, and so I said I'd certainly run it by y'all.
One other office that you haven't mentioned, that's Shane's office, right there by the bathroom.
Right behind
And then the office too, I don't know if Steve might be interested in that.
Ooh, that one's rough.
Pretty small, I don't know if it's,
That's a rough office. It doesn't have much storage space. I think, did you hear what he's saying, Steve? Would you agree that's a bit cramped for your needs?
That would be better off where I am.
Okay. So I don't know what we could use that space for, but that is an available space.
Why don't we go ahead and let John Martin go down in the comment. Leonard's okay to use those rooms up there and just stop at this time until we
I like that.
get all the southern part worked out.
Okay. We'll put that in the form of a motion.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mike Fields makes a motion that we proceed with the move of county attorney into the northeast corner first floor, and that we, subsequent to that, move Leonard Rockwell and his staff after the election into the current county attorney space, and we'll discuss future moves at a later time. Second by Commissioner Hockaday. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Item number 11, consider and possibly approve the extension of County Road 3207 that has now been brought to county specs to be maintained by the landowner for 1 year, then possible acceptance by the county. Commissioner Hinton.
Yes, Judge, I put that on the agenda. It's 0.15 miles, and they've been working on it, and they asked to extend 3207 on down to for the county to maintain.
800 feet, 0.15 miles, about that?
Yeah, 1,000 feet, so 1,500. I just guessed at 1.5, 1.5. But I'd like to make a motion.
Are we committing in this motion to accepting it after a year, or just saying we'll reconsider it at that time?
We will look at it after a year.
it's got to still be up to specs.
It's got to still be up to specs after a year.
Okay, so we're not committing to him that you do it for a year and then we'll take it. We'll just say, we'll relook at it. If you've done a good job, then we'll address that a year from now.
Yes.
Okay. Has the work been done to
Yes.
to extend it? It has been extended. It's been brought to county specs. Did he do, and he did all the work?
There's a little bit on the cul-de-sac that they need to work on.
Okay. All right. You're in favor of that? Okay.
Yeah.
So you make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton to approve the extension that has been completed on 3207 that's now been brought to county specs. The owner is going to continue to maintain it for at least 1 year, and at the end of that year, we will revisit that and consider accepting it by the county. Second by Commissioner Fields. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. All right. Consider and possibly approve travel and seminars. Okay, it's once again time for our December meeting that the county hosts at the Agriculture Extension Office, and this is something that is put on by the Ag Extension Service. Hurley Miller and his group always put on a good one-day seminar here in town. We've been proud to be the host there for at least 4 years, maybe longer. The cost of registration is $40. I have taken the liberty to include you, Commissioner Fields, I think you're the only one that hadn't turned something in yet, and I thought I'd just try to get everybody approved here. Commissioner Riddle, Commissioner Fields, Commissioner Hinton, and myself to attend.
I'm going to go.
You're going to go? Okay, I'll add you to it then. To attend this December 4th event at the Ag Extension Office. It'll be a one-day deal. Cost is $40 for each one. If we meet the deadline, it's $40. I think if we go later, it's $50. Second one is Leonard Rockwell would like to attend the election law seminar in Austin, December 2, 3, and 4. He would travel on the 1st and the 4th. $150 registration, $160 worth of meals, which actually would be adjusted for that travel day down to $140. $360 worth of hotel, approximately $364 worth of mileage, for a total cost of training, attendance, meals, hotel, and travel, $1,039.
You retire on the 31st, December 31st?
No, I believe he has stretched that out to a year from now.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Through the end of 15. John Mark Coburn would like to attend Elected Prosecutor Conference in Austin, December 3, 4, and 5. We're not sure of the cost of registration, whether it's $350 or $175. I'm not sure what the question there is, but let's assume a maximum of $350 and a minimum of $175. 3.5 days worth of meal per diem at $140. Hotel, motel for the 3 nights, $417 plus tax. He's not requesting any reimbursement on mileage, so he comes up with $732 on the low end or $907 on the high end if that registration cost is the $350. So $732 or $907. Judy Cook requests to go to College Station to get her necessary continuing education credits, and she has tried to get everything she could possibly get online, and this one she just can't accomplish that. Her training would be November 17, 18, and 19. She would travel on the 16th, a $170 registration, $140 worth of per diem meals, $673.35 worth of hotel, $271 worth of travel reimbursement, for a grand total of $1,254.39. And she's asking to take along with her Lena Haley. Another cost of registration, another per diem, but no additional hotel or travel, for a grand total of $310. So again, just as a review, the $40 to attend the local commissioners training, Leonard Rockwell's, John Mark Coburn's, and then Judy Cook and Lena Haley.
Make a motion to approve travel seminar.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton to approve these travel requests. Second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 13, approve oral and written reports.
real up to date, what we got left here, that's pretty good. That's pretty close to what it is now.
Whatever money Judy's collected in taxes will show up for the next month. That's what she's hoping.
I'm talking about the loop.
Loop fund.
Loop. That's pretty level. Make a motion to approve the written report.
Motion by Commissioner Hockaday,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor of approval of the oral and written reports, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 14, consider possibly approve the treasurer's report. Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to approve the treasurer.
Second.
Motion.
Yes.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton, Commissioner Hockaday, and second by Commissioner Hinton for approval on the treasurer's report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 15, approved budget amendments. No budget amendments. Item number 16, signed pay orders and approved payments.
Make a motion, clear bills.
Motion by Commissioner Hinton. Second by Commissioner Hockaday. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 17, closing comments. We had a great swearing in today at the JP's office for Ray Barrett, our new constable. A wonderful ceremony, and Paula Dyke did a great job of emceeing that and recognizing Clevey, and his family was there, and they had some nice items, memorabilia items that will be displayed there in that office. And then she proceeded right on in to recognizing Ray Barrett and getting him sworn in as our new constable of that precinct, and he's raring to go. So, bittersweet times. Commissioner Riddle.
None.
Commissioner Fields.
These allergies are killing me, I think. And I just wanted to bring this up because it was mentioned to me, and I'm not sure if the court would be interested in doing this, but the city is going to have a one-day cleanup, and the dumpsters will be at the landfill. They will not be put out or anything. Wanted to know if the county was interested in doing a one-day deal in the fall. I told them I would talk to you.
We did that last year, didn't we? Was it last? Sometime we participated in it once.
Several years ago, they did it, and they let the county come in, but we...
Is this different from the one we do every year?
We do. The one we do every year is in April.
It's in the spring.
This is a one-day deal. The city's going to do a fall cleanup. It'll start at, I think, at like 8 o'clock that morning. It'll go to 2 o'clock that afternoon. You have to take everything to the landfill. It won't be dumpsters out in the county like we do in the spring. So think about it, and if you're interested...
What would it require of us?
They'd have dumpsters there, and they'd have what they call the county dumpsters, and they would put that there. And everybody does not live in the city limits of Mount Pleasant would put their trash in there, and then they would bill us for that later.
They bill us per dumpster.
Per dumpster,
Yeah.
like usual.
To be dumpsters, what they've been doing, but sometimes we have people that want to put old tires and batteries and stuff, and they watch that. You will not be able to do that out there.
Any idea what it would cost?
Well, I didn't really know what to tell them. I was going to talk to the city and see what date they're looking at, and I'll get you a cost. It'll be so much per pound for sure.
Okay, it's not by the dumpster, it'd be by the...
Well, it'd be how many dumpsters are used, where we normally pack ours down. I don't know if they would pack them down or not. But I'll try to get some more information on that if y'all are interested.
I've had a few people call asking about that, so I'd be interested in some information.
Okay? I'll get some stuff put together and get back with y'all.
Okay, Commissioner Hinton?
I have nothing, Judge.
Commissioner Hockaday?
Out on the road off of 67, it's County Road 4015, and Mark McKellar lives he lives right off from the new loop, 14, whatever it is, 14.
2348. 2348.
My mind went blank.
Yeah.
Anyway, from Steve Braggs' house, where he lives on the south side of the loop, or southwest side of the loop, and way back there, they were dumping trash down at the railroad track. And so I let Steve put some barricades across the road there. I talked to Dr. McKellar. His property's on the west side of the road, and he didn't have a problem with him putting those barricades there. If he ever needed to get down there, he could go down there. Mark McKellar is buying that property. Now he wants to be able to go down to that gate. So, I mean, what I did was just let Steve put those barricades there. Well, I put them there to start with. And then he wanted to kind of maintain them. And so I'm going to open that road back up. The barricades are going to stay there. That's going to be a county road, but it just goes down to the railroad track. Won't nobody use it but Steve and Mark McKellar. And we didn't close it officially when we closed it way back there. Yeah, I just told the court that I was going to do that. But I just want everybody to know that that's what we're going to do out there in case somebody asks about it.
Do they have to move the barricades each time they use it?
And Mark said he wouldn't have a problem with that. Him and Steve will be the only ones using them. Steve can get in and out of his house, and if he goes on down to the other part of his property, the south part of his property, he moves the barricades. But Mark needs a way to get in that gate down there when he bales hay and so forth. So
Okay.
I just kind of want the court to know what I'm going to do in case somebody calls and wants to know what's happening.
But the barricades have been up there for a while.
They've been up for a
So
long
it's not like they're going to be surprised to see a set of barricades.
No.
Okay.
I mean, the barricades are there now.
Yeah.
And they've been there for way before we even started on the loop over there. So.
Okay. All right. Ready for a motion to adjourn?
One other thing that I just thought about, endurance race. I have not heard anything from the young lady that's always put that on, but it was supposed to, I think they're supposed to start, it'd be the 30th would be one race, and they'll skip the 31st, and then Saturday, they will have the big race Saturday. That'll be out at Preference Farm, and I assume everything's going to be on the other side of the road because nobody's called me about crossing the road. So, but that's last year or year before last in the Olympics, we finished 4th. And a lot of the horses I think nearly all the horses that went to England were out there racing that day. If you like things like that, it's really good, but there's a lot of people come into town on that. So I just wanted to mention that. I think it's scheduled for the 30th and November the 1st at Preference Farm or Ranch.
Thursday and Saturday. All right. Motion to adjourn? So motion by Commissioner Hockaday, second by Commissioner Hinton. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you, everyone.